everybody, and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. I have a special breakdown covering some of our recent analysis in the Bitcoin price. We have successfully broken out of resistance, and it's looking like we are going to be heading to price discovery, rocketing upwards of 100K per Bitcoin. We're going to be taking a look at the altcoin total market cap, as well as the altcoin total market cap of the others. All of these are looking very bullish, and I want to talk a little bit about where I think that the price is headed. To finish this video, I have 5 of my favorite altcoins that have already been doing really well. I've been talking about these over the last couple months, and I think that these things are all just at the very beginning before they see a much bigger breakout very soon. Once again, guys, if you do find value in this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see how I'm investing long term, links are in the description to go ahead and actually sign up on my website. Jumping into the shorter time frames with Bitcoin, where we were at yesterday was more or less wondering whether we were going to get outside of this descending resistance, and I said how once we were starting to rally up into this move, said most likely we were going to end up breaking out. And as we can see, we have successfully broken out. Once we got outside of resistance, that's really where the buyers stepped in. We've got good buy volume all the way throughout here, throughout this entire consolidation. And what I kind of talked to you guys about in the last update with Bitcoin was mainly just mapping out this potential of us going all the way up to about 100K. And I do think that that's a very logical conclusion to be targeting, because as we've just successfully broken out, made a new all-time high, and retested our prior highs, I do think we're going to see a little bit of FOMO come in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us come up at this 100K, really 90 to 100K is where I think is the most likely, before we could actually see a deeper pullback before we do something like this. If we're going to follow a normal 4-year cycle, then I would think that we'd have another, sort of extended top all the way towards the end of 2025. But this is still kind of what I'm watching for, more or less. Like, I don't think this cycle is going to be done, us coming up to 100K. I do believe that we would end up finding support around those prior all-time highs before we go into an even bigger move. That's more along the lines where I think that we would end up seeing a cycle top, not so much in this first little move, but probably the next one that follows after. So when I'm looking at Bitcoin, this is still what I'm seeing. I still see the potential where we're going to go into price discovery, and 100K is a pretty decent move, and this is kind of the move where I think a lot of altcoin profits should see some of those big gains going into their first breakouts. We've seen Dogecoin, some of the other altcoin meme coins really taking off in a big way, and that's always an indication that there's about to be a lot more retail money coming back into the market. Coming over here and looking at the altcoin total market cap, this thing has been on an absolute tear. We ended up finding support pretty much exactly where I was talking about in my last update. Now if we come out, we zoom out, what we ended up doing in the altcoins was more along what I thought that the total market cap was going to do. The total market cap extended, came up here a little bit higher, whereas the altcoins ended up retesting this lower high from our bear market. And then this is where we ended up finding resistance. Now, all we've really done is came all the way back down and felt out the middle point of this kind of consolidation of support inside of that entire lower high, right? Because when we first topped in the top of our bear market, when we first topped at the beginning of our bear market, we went through this little consolidation period before the real breakdown started, before Terra Luna collapsed and all of that crazy stuff transpired. And it was kind of just in this middle point of that range where we ended up finding support. So now with all this new volume that's came in, I do think that we're about to be seeing a much bigger move. And chances are this thing's going to go to the minimum up to about $1.5 trillion. That's where I think that we're going to most likely come up to. We might not make a new all-time high, but even if we end up getting close, a retest of those prior highs, the big thing I'm watching for is this. We have this resistance level, and it's acted as pretty major resistance, and it was the exact point in which the top shifted, right? We topped here, we made our first lower high and lower low, and it all revolved around this exact level being 1.53 trillion. So when I'm seeing this, I wouldn't be surprised to see the market run up to this level, maybe see a pullback here before we get that next big breakout. I don't know exactly how the structure is going to look, but it's going to really revolve around what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin running to 100K, this thing will most likely come up to retest this level pretty quickly. And I think that if we were able to get a move above this and then maybe correct back down onto that as support, that's going to look really encouraging. On the low end, maybe we only rally up to this level and then we correct. That's kind of the two scenarios that I'm watching for with the altcoin total market cap. Overall, the structure looks good. The volume looks great. More volume coming in on this breakout than pretty much what we saw at the peak all-time highs. Very encouraging signs for the altcoins. Coming over here and looking at the total market cap of the others. Now, the big thing that I'm watching with this is the exact same sort of stuff. This thing is going to end up making its next high, and I think it's going to end up coming up to this same sort of level that the altcoin total market cap has. Because if we look, they pretty much followed the same structure. I find it more likely likely that the others would end up topping at this resistance, and then maybe the altcoin total market cap does actually extend a little bit higher and then retest that as new support. That could actually be the scenario that we see taking foot, because this chart is definitely going to continue to lag this one. And I do think that that's going to be something that we can watch for, is whenever this total 3 comes all the way back up to this resistance, I think it's a definite sign that we could see another short-term pullback before we have enough guts to go into a new all-time high. But at the same time, because of the significance of the breakout we've seen up to this point, any dips or buying opportunities, I don't really expect them to last a long time, because so far this cycle's proven to have way more buy support than we've ever seen. So that's my biggest takeaway, looking at all of our indexes, looking at Bitcoin, what I think is going to be playing out over the next couple weeks to months. Now, let's talk about my top 5 favorite altcoins that I've been investing in over the last year or more. These are altcoins that have provided us some solid gains, but are really just at the beginning stages of their breakouts, and I wanted to cover them right now and make sure you guys knew exactly what to expect moving forward from here. First one on today's video is going to be MEUS. MEUS finally launched their decentralized sequencer, for which you guys probably don't even know what that means, but basically this is the only truly decentralized layer 2 in crypto. Not Arbitrum, not Optimism, not any of the other ones. MEUS is the truly first decentralized sequencer in their layer 2s. So when we're looking at this, this is a really big advantage. Not only do they have Vitalik Buterin's mom being the lead developer over here, not only do they have the direct ties with Ethereum, but they've also pretty much, figured out something huge in sort of the layer 2 space. And so I do think that this is going to be one of the best performing layer 2s, if not the best performing layer 2. From right now at $568 million in market cap, a lot of people are going to think that that's overvalued, but for me, I still think that this can do 50x gains, 30, 50x. I think that that's a very realistic expectation for this, and it could very easily hit 100x depending on how much money comes into this cycle. We don't really know, but this is one that you definitely want to be holding. It's one of my favorite altcoins. I was accumulating this one all the way down in here, and if you were watching my channel, you've also done the exact same thing. I won't be surprised to see this end up just being this long-term consolidation before we have a much bigger move to the upside. And the big reason this is going to see so much adoption, and not only MEUS, but its tokens inside of the ecosystem as well, is because of the reason we're going to end up seeing so much of the MEUS token injected back into these early projects. So there's going to be tons of liquidity injected into these. A lot of them are sitting at tiny market caps. So if you don't feel like MEUS is a good buy, I would at least recommend getting some exposure if you're going to play around with any of the MEUS ecosystem. But having MEUS and then dabbling in some of the altcoins in it, if you really believe in it, I think that that's a really solid thing to do, because a lot of their altcoins have really been popping off. I've made good profits so far, but even some of the profits I've made have kind of evened out, because some of them are losses or break even. So, there's always outliers in anything you're going to invest in when you're picking random altcoins on chain to buy. But MEUS is the easiest one to get, because it's the one where, it's the ecosystem itself. All of the projects are going to build on it. So MEUS is going to benefit as a whole. It's a little bit harder to pick which altcoins in the ecosystem are going to benefit the most. And that's why I say that if you don't really know which one to pick, go for MEUS first, because this is one that I feel really highly that is going to give us consistent gains. I just have a good feeling about that. And so looking at MEUS right now, because we just recently had this big rally up and we more or less retested this resistance, I think the next move is going to see us actually break above that. And I would not be the least bit surprised to see this go into a new all-time high. Because of what we're seeing inside of the other markets, with Bitcoin looking like it's going to go up to 100K, altcoin market cap looking like it could go into a new all-time high, MEUS could set itself up for a very, very big move to the upside, considering the fact it's only got $5 million liquidity, in 500K market cap, which is good. It's solid overall, but it doesn't take as much money to move these type of things. Now, next up is going to be Synapse Protocol. This is one of the best bridges that you're going to find in crypto, and I bought it for that reason, is because I was bridging, trying different chains, being early to Arbitrum, being early to MEUS, and some of this other stuff. And I was using bridges to be able to do that. And I found out that Synapse was a really solid bridge. It was listed on Coinbase, and at the time it only had $100 million in total market cap. So to me, that was an obvious solution. Buying Coinbase altcoins isn't a bad thing, because they end up getting so much retail money that if you can accumulate Coinbase altcoins at $50 million to $100 million total market cap, they always end up pumping really, really hard. And those are ending up to be some of my best profits. And I always encourage other people that aren't willing to bridge or don't know enough about crypto, there's still good opportunities off chain as well. Now, seeing this one, We talked about this all the way over here, and when we first started breaking out, and then I updated you guys once we actually broke out a descending resistance, and from that point we saw a very big breakout. Now as it stands, this is just a retest in the short term. I do firmly believe that we're about to be going much higher. We're just finding new support inside of this breakout, and so now that we've broken descending resistance, we've had this new volume come in, we're currently retesting horizontal support, flipping that prior resistance as new support. Hopefully that doesn't confuse you guys too much what I'm explaining, but I do think that we're going to end up seeing a breakout, and most likely we're running all the way back up to this resistance up here, which would be about $3.50 to about $4. That's kind of the range that I'm thinking. So long term, this is me. I mean, this is a long term hold for me personally. I'm not really trying to do a lot of short term trading with this. I was accumulating this one all the way back down in these periods because I had a good feeling that Coinbase would get adoption and then these type altcoins would run. But I've used Synapse protocol, their bridge specifically, and it is a cross chain, bridge. You can transfer tokens from multiple different places. So I think it's a really big advantage to be early to some of these bridges, considering the fact we're going to see all of this money moving from centralized exchanges on chain, going to DeFi, participating in some of these opportunities that exist over here, and they're going to end up using these protocols the most. So watch out for Synapse. Looking over here, this is the next bridge that I really like a lot. It's only got $150 million total market cap, but it's more or less doing the exact same things. Now, I was talking about this, updating you guys throughout this consolidation, knowing that it was our first impulse before we started breaking out. Now, this is one of those that has had this long-term accumulation, a huge rounded bottom formation, and once these start to break out, which is about to be soon, I think that it's going to just absolutely skyrocket up to this resistance, being like $2.40. Not like the hugest gains, 2.5x approximately, 2.2x. But these are the type that end up just running into a new all-time high really quick. And so this is another token bridge. This is built on Layer 0. And Layer 0 is a chain that's coming. A lot of projects are building on it, have already built on it. So it's not like it doesn't exist, but their token hasn't been released. So that's going to be a big narrative to follow. Anything building on Layer 0. There's a lot of really big DeFi protocols doing that. All of the big DeFi protocols launching, going through pre-sales. They're all building on Layer 0, it seems like. And so looking at Stargate Finance, now that we've just successfully broken out of our prior resistance, retested that as new support, we're going to end up seeing this thing breaking out. It's still actually a good buy right now, which is why I'm talking about it. I think we're headed probably up to about maybe a 40 to a 50% move from here before we actually send it up 2x to this resistance. But once again, guys, this is a long-term hold for me in the exact same way Synapse is, in the exact same way MEUS is. They're all long-term holds. I don't think that they're bad buys at these levels, but understand we've been accumulating them down in here. It's just that right now is kind of the last moment you can get them before they become expensive, and I'm not going to want to actually talk about them as much anymore. So coming over here, the next one is going to be incentive token. This is the incentive token built on Pulse Chain. So whenever you provide liquidity on PulseSec, you can take your token that you get from providing that liquidity, you can stake it, and then you can actually farm and earn this incentive token. And so it's really interesting. It has a low market cap, or at the time it at least did. It's got like 186 million now. But this is one of those that's going to go absolutely insane. Look at all of the volume, and I've been, making videos on this one all the way since we first started running back down in here. It's been the best performing token inside of Pulse Chain as far as the tokens Richard Hart has created, and I do firmly believe that this thing is about to go on a huge move. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see this thing run all the way up to like 27 to even all the way up to like $30. So anytime you see a cycle with this amount of volume coming in and we're way below the all-time highs, it's a huge reason to buy it, because that usually means we're about to be going into a new all-time high. I've got nothing but confidence that this is the best performing token in the Richard Hart ecosystem, even though it does the absolute least, which is the funniest thing about it. It's more or less just, it literally is just a reward token, but the fact that you have to actually participate inside of the network providing liquidity to earn it, to me, that's actually a valuable proposition. The majority of the reason is farming it, but at the end of the day, that's still a valuable proposition nonetheless. So when I see this thing long term, from where we're at right now, all we're doing is retesting this prior level right here to the prior all-time highs is over a 10x. So I think that this thing is going to be one of the better returning altcoins you can buy. If you're looking at any of the tokens in the Richard Hart ecosystem, this is the one that I would for sure buy. And it's not actually a bad time right now. We currently just retested this prior level. This is kind of our first major higher high that we've had, considering if we're looking at our prior consolidation, this was all below resistance, right? Technically, this was resistance. This was from the beginning when we got added to exchanges. This was where we found support in this little lower high. This was the SEC lawsuit, right? This is where we found resistance, was right at the bottom of that exchange listing. And then once again, when we started to actually rally and begin our first impulses to begin the new cycle, that was also the same level where we found resistance. So what we've successfully done over the last couple months has been breaking out of that level, retesting prior resistance as new support for the very first time. We've never done that before. So that's a huge, huge, huge deal because this is the first true higher high of the new bull trend. Whenever we see incentive token doing this, it's a shifting point, right? The reason I'm saying that this is probably going to go up 3.5x, people are going to think I'm just a moon boy for saying that, but the truth of the matter is this thing has way more volume now than it's ever had before, and this was truly the first higher high that we have made in the new bull trend. This wasn't really a true higher high because even though it was a higher high, we were still below prior resistance. Now that we've successfully broken out of that and now made another higher low, this is now successfully the new trend of the cycle. So when I see this, I'm really bullish. Incentive token is about to moon, looking like a 3.5x type of a move, 10x to the prior all-time highs, 100x, 1000x type opportunities, depending on where you bought it, if you bought the exact low. Anyways, watch out for it. Once again, guys, coming into the final token on today's video, this is an AI play. It's got the least amount of market cap. Wanted to save you guys a good one. The last AI play we had went up like, I think over double almost instantly, and it's actually breaking out once again, which I think I have it. Yeah, the chart of LayerAI. We talked about this one all the way back down in here, and then it had a big breakout, and it had almost the exact same market cap. So when I'm looking at mine today, I think that this has about the same opportunity, but it's got $1.2 million of locked liquidity at a $13 million market cap. So that's great liquidity. It's the fact that it's locked. There's no rug pull opportunities. Like, that's not possible either. And I do think that it's got an absolutely amazing chart. When we're looking at this thing on a little bit of a shorter time frame, all we've done is made our first Elliott wave cycle to begin this new bull trend. So when I see 5 waves up followed by your standard ABC correction back down, that's an opportunity to get in a 1 wave and a 2 wave correction before the most impulsive cycle actually sets in. So when I'm looking at this, you know, I do think that this thing is about to come break out of this high and then just go straight into a new all-time high like that. So based off of our minimum fib targets, we have pretty much, you know, the 1618 would be our very first target, but chances are this thing's going to massively outperform this, and I'm going to actually hold this thing into price discovery. It's only a 3x. Most likely we go to the 2618, which would be about a 5x. I don't think that it's a bad idea to take profit at those levels, but for me, when I'm looking at this, we can come over to their website actually, and I saw this last night. Yeah, they're built on BitTensor. So if you guys don't know what BitTensor is, it's basically the biggest AI token of this new cycle. It's been my one of my best outperformers in this cycle actually, and this is built on it. So you can actually program and build stuff through, you know, BitTensor through this application called Mind, and this is their token. So I do think that this thing is going to be a really solid one to actually hold, and it's got a low market cap. So looking like a good upside potential. We're in the bottom of this wave 2. So if we're looking at our Elliott waves from a long-term basis, it's going to be like this. This is wave 1. This is wave 2. We're going to get wave 3 next. Chances are it's going to be absolutely massive, which is why I say I'm just going to kind of hold it and see what happens. But we'll get wave 3. Wave 4 will come in, and then we still have another impulse to come after that. So for me, watching these AI tokens, they've actually been getting bid some of the hardest in all of the markets. That's a narrative that's 100% going to blow up this cycle. I don't think you can really go wrong playing off of some of these, but you got to pick the best ones. These guys have a low market cap, locked liquidity, good liquidity to trade from. You can trade them off of Uniswap, I believe they're on V2. And at the end of the day, you know, them building on BitTensor, we might as well just go look at it real quick because this one has been on an absolute tear and it's one of the best altcoins this cycle in my opinion. So BitTensor is basically like Ethereum for AI, I guess you could say, and it has had a massive move. It's the highest market cap crypto out of all of the AI tokens. If you go and look at the index on CoinGecko, this one is going to be number 1, and its entire chart goes all the way back, even lower obviously, but it doesn't show the entire price history on this. So when I'm looking at this and the fact that they're building on BitTensor, the fact that BitTensor has been on an absolute tear, I don't really think you can go wrong checking into this one because this one is going to be one of the better outperformers in the short term once this new cycle actually sets in. So guys, if you did find value in this video, do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys do want to end up seeing anything that I'm investing in, this was a signal we bought all the way back down, pretty much at the very bottom down in here in my group. You know, all of these were prior signals. So if you guys do ever want to see how I'm positioning myself long term, you got to sign up on my website, linked below. Get access to all of the trades that I'm doing over the entire bull run and how I'm also going to be taking profits long term. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you so much for anybody that's just tuning in and watching the videos. Thank you for anybody that even hates on me as well. It's all support and it's all love. And I just am thankful that I have the opportunity to do this. Thank you guys so much. With that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.